I also want to tell you I saw one of the worst movies of my life, which I give not only a thumbs down, it's one of the worst films ever made in American history. It's called Public Enemies, with Johnny Depp, who is possibly one of the worst actors ever to hit the American screen, at least in his current format. He should stick to Pirates of whatever. And Christian Bale, who should be ashamed of himself, and a woman I never heard of named Marion Cotillard, who really belongs in a coat check room somewhere in West Palm Beach. Michael Mann, I don't know who he is. I think he used to do Miami Vice, if I'm not mistaken. Am I correct, Beowulf? A piece of garbage. Now, not only was the movie impossible to understand, but it glorified one of the worst white trash murderers in history, named Dillinger. Why they would spend so much money to glorify a murderer is not beyond me. I understand the sick mind of liberals in Hollywood. Believe me, don't get me wrong. I'm aware of the mental illness called liberalism. But when you see so much talent devoted to making a movie about a murderer, a cold-blooded bank robber murderer, a white trasher of the lowest order, and you say to yourself, this guy Michael Mann, whoever he is, the TV director who became a movie director, whatever, the guy has some, obviously, talent or he wouldn't be in the movie business. What if he had done a movie about James Doolittle? What if he had done a movie about an American war hero? What if he had done a movie about General MacArthur? What if he had done a movie about somebody with the guts to kill the enemy, but for the sake of protecting the country, instead of some white trash bank robber who just beats up cops and kills them? The worst movie I've ever seen, glorifying scum, Public Enemies. Don't buy it. Don't buy the DVD. Next headline, for those of you who believe in global warming caused by men, Canada is freezing. Canada freezes as snowstorms strands thousands. People in the north-central part of the Canadian province of Ontario are digging out after one of the worst snowstorms on record. In fact, up to 100 centimeters of snow fell over 3 days north of Toronto. More than 100,000 people hit by the storm. Police urging travelers to stay away from the region. Meanwhile, Western Canada, Al Gore, is in the grip of a cold snap with temperatures plummeting anywhere from 40 to 50 degrees negative on the Celsius scale. That's minus 50 degrees Celsius, while our lunatic, immature President Obama goes to Copenhagen to try to ensnare us in the greatest global con in history on ClimateGate. Those of you who are worried about tap water, you may not know the whole story, but I'll give you the whole story. Miami hotel moves 300 guests due to waterborne bacteria. 300 guests got a bacterial infection related to Legionnaire's disease. And it turns out I found out why. Problem at the Epic Hotel was the bacteria Legionella pneumophila, which causes Legionnaire's disease. New hotel opened a year ago. What happened? You see, hotels like this specialize in everything green and everything pure and everything good and everything great for the special guests who come to these hotels. And as you well know, tap water is passé. They only drink bottled water. And so they put in a powerful water filter at the hotel, which would remove chlorine and other toxins from the tap water. Well, they did remove the chlorine from the tap water with the powerful filter, and that allowed the negative bacteria to grow in the water system in this Miami hotel. One European guest died. 2 others were treated in hospital in November and December. And so, ladies and gentlemen, let me explain to you. Well, I'll explain a lot to you. The phone number is 1-800-449-8255. War is peace. Warming is cooling. Bankruptcy is solvency. And weakness is strength. All according to liberals. And again, going back to the worst movie I've seen in recent times, Public Enemies, I got to tell you something. You say, well, okay, why are you talking about it? Because I want you to understand that as a movie lover, I know the difference between grade A, grade B, grade C, grade D, and absolute unadulterated merde, as they say in France. This was trash of the lowest order. I couldn't stop watching Public Enemies because it was so bad, and I didn't know if it would get worse, and it did. And then it went on and on and on, and I said, this can't be. First of all, I couldn't understand half of what they were saying. I thought it needed a set of subscripts under it. I couldn't understand. They were garbled. The language was garbled. It was shot by video camera, and it sounded like an amateur movie. Anyway, here's a question of the day, if you want one, which is this. Who could they have glorified who was a violent man from the 1930s, let's say, or the 40s, a violent man who was violent for the sake of the public good? You see, let me explain something to you. There's a lot of violent men out there. Some of them are real evil. They're the bad guys, and they go to jail or they get killed by the cops. Then there are the violent men who are not afraid to kill, who are on the side of good. They're the cops and the actual combat soldiers. In other words, they say they have the same capacity to murder as the bad guys, only they murder for good rather than murdering for illness, evil. You'll get the difference? In other words, who do you think could stand up to the most evil people on earth? They have to have the same capacity to stand toe-to-toe with them and murder them. You understand that? And without, that's where you'd be. There was a group of 5 Muslims, youth, that is, who attended a mosque in Virginia, got radicalized by their wonderful imam, no doubt. They were arrested in Pakistan, and then there was a press conference that was astonishing because of its lack of alacrity. Look it up. A guy named Mahdi Bray, president of the so-called Muslim American Society Freedom Foundation, you know what that is. You know, there was once a Bund in the United States of America, who had the nerve to say this is a wake-up call for all youth, Muslims, Christians, or Jews. Now, remember, it was only Muslim youth who became radicalized and went to Pakistan to kill Americans. But he says it's Muslims, Christians, or Jews. Listen to clip 16 if you want to believe
this is
double
indeed
speak.
A wake-up call. It's a wake-up call involving our youth. All youth, be they Muslims, Christians, Jews, all youth.
You lie. Hey, shut up. Wait a minute. Stop. You know, I am outraged by this. It's not all youth, Mahdi Bray. It's Muslim youth. Stop lying. Stop lying, Mahdi Bray. It's not all youth. It's Muslim youth who went to Pakistan to kill. It was not Christian youth. It was not Jewish youth. Where's the outrage over this? Where is the outrage over this? Now, wait, it gets even. Well, I don't want to play anymore right now. What I want to do is give out my phone number, 1-800-449-8255. It is unbelievable what's going on in the world. The week I was out, I try to tune out of the news because I had stitches in my mouth, which I still do. I still feel the bone. I don't know. They did a bone transplant. I had an upper tooth. It was an early injury when I was a kid. And finally, they had to remove the tooth. So they removed the tooth and put in a what do you call it, a pin made of titanium. Well, oh, wait a minute. That's right. I meant to tell you the story. Before I left you, it was on a Friday. I told you I was meeting an individual. He or she would likely be the next president of the United States. That's right. That's right. That's where the serial, The Savage Nation, ended. Well, I went to that dinner up in North Beach, in the North Beach restaurant in San Francisco. And I had dinner with the individual who was likely to be the next president of the United States. It was just the two of us, by the way. It was not 4, not 10. I was not one of many. And I became very interested in the discussion, which I swore to not talk about, and I'm not going to mention the individual. But I went home, and as I said to you, I had a titanium pin in my mouth with a tooth over it. It was supposed to take a few months to get solidified. I come home, and I start to explain to Mrs. S. the dinner. I got excited. I didn't look. There was a piece of French bread in the bread box. I'm a big bread eater. And my housekeeper inadvertently bought a piece of sourdough, a new sourdough loaf. I hate sourdough. I can't stand it. I'm not a miner. I don't wear dungarees, and I don't eat sourdough. I like French bread. I don't like sourdough. I can't stand the taste of it. But I didn't look. I put tuna on it, and I'm talking, telling the story. I bite into the thing, and all of a sudden, I hear a snap in my mouth. All right, I'll be right back.
Savage.
Devil or angel, I can't make up my mind which one you are. I'd like to wake up and
All right, so we're having a conversation here on the Savage Nation. At least I'm having a monologue with myself. The world, according to Obama, war is peace, warming is cooling, bankruptcy is solvency, weakness is strength. I'm also explaining why I was gone for a week. Probably it's the longest I've been off the air in years. I never take a week. And it was not a holiday. It was, medical, the surgical stuff. So anyway, I broke the tooth that night after the meeting with the presidential candidate. Snap. See the dentist the next day. He says, you broke it off. Come in Monday. The next thing I know, he removes the titanium pin. I know it's like the old man on the bench already with my operation. I'm sorry, but let me finish it because I'm in broadcasting. It's a horrible nightmare to have a missing front tooth, let me tell you, because your speech is screwed up. You don't hear it now because, okay, it's fixed temporarily. Takes the pin out. The next thing I know, he's putting a bone transplant in my head, when he didn't have to do it before. And